Following footsteps, unlighted room, feeling the cold, feeling the gloom. Voices are speaking, around any way, bodies unkept, horrible display.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Spin. I'm G, coming to you from 6-4. Our show, The Sunday Spin, this week and every week is brought to you by the good people at Grooves Records in San Francisco, Kevin Chanel, and our boys in the 719, What's Left Records. You see them online. Go and check the boys out. Nothing more to say except, Greno, my man, how about them Padres?
Wow, man. Not only a no-no, but a perfecto. Wow, what a
time
for Padre fans, Vinny.
You betcha. Who we got with us today, G?
Oh man, we got family in the house today. So excited to man, it's this guy. I've known this guy my whole life, as you could always say with family, right? But
yeah, it's funny how that works out.
I've looked up to this man and his musical ability and talent pretty much my whole life. We play different styles of music, but what he puts into his craft, not only as a guitar player, but as a composer, is someone that I revere and someone that I admire and someone that I'm so happy to call family. He is the leader of the Grasso-Ravita Jazz Ensemble, along with Phil Ravita, a great bass player. I want to be a PC with that. But yeah, Skip, welcome to the Sunday Spin, my cousin.
It's great to be here. I mean, it's like so wild to be visiting with you. Because we lived on different coasts by the way that our family happened, we only got to visit at special times, like occasionally when they would visit or I would visit. So this is really special for me to be talking with you. And we've kind of watched from afar. I knew Glenn sort of was really into music. Or Greno, I'm sorry. Was really into music as a teenager because his mom and dad and his family on the West Coast were always very proud. And I would be, I would see the different tapes and things that he would do. I was like, man, that guy has the thing together in that like rock thing. I was always very impressed too, because I was like, the shy retiring jazz musician, but he was out there doing it from a young age, right? Am I correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you get a full exemption to be able to call him Glenn for the entire 30 minutes, I'm sure. Because
I'm looking right at his name just to remember, man.
And the great part about all that, Skip, was that Vinny was right there with me, in the rock and roll trenches, making music at an early age. You can see he's got sporting the guitar back there, one of many as well. And yeah, it's just been a wonderful journey for all of us. But Skip, Vinny, I'm going to steal that classic Vinny G question. I'm going to ask my cousin because
it's family friendly.
I don't know this answer, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you, Skip, how did your music journey start? Like, how'd you start playing the guitar, my friend, even?
Oh, it's like, it's so weird to talk about myself. I can tell you that because I've always been a side man. So to be out talking, but it's kind of interesting because I'm like an everyman person for my generation, I think. My sister, Laura, who had a little Yamaha acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And she had like the record collection, the rock and roll collection, and she had like, Jimi Hendrix, Electric Ladyland in there. And I heard 1983, which is a tune. I don't know if you know that album, but I mean, that's like,
of course.
And
I should turn to beat.
Yes. I mean, I heard that and I was like trying to get that little acoustic guitar to like, how do you do this? How do you do this? And then just, my mom got me lessons with this guy, Bob, what I call Bob the hippie. And Bob would come to the house for like $5 to teach you Rolling Stones tunes, And then, then they really had to pry the thing out of my hands after that. It was like my grandmother who Glenn knew, we lived with her and she'd be like, put down that GD guitar and get out of the house and get some sunlight, And so I was telling Greno at the beginning when we met that like a real turning point for me was he was a very young child and came to visit with my Uncle Bob. And my Uncle Bob was scoping out what I was listening to, probably, you know. And I'm sure, you know, we'll have to ask him someday whether he dug that Rolling Stones tune I might have been working on, Brown Sugar or whatever. But he said, listen, and this is the way I heard it. He was like, listen, kid, you got to check out George Benson. And so I was like, George Benson, who's that? And so I was telling Glenn, I got on my bike, and I told you guys this story. I got on my bike, and I rode downhill to Georgetown to Waxy Maxie's. And that was all the downhill. It was beautiful. It was like, you know, 4 miles in like, you know, no time. And I bought, my teacher had recommended Blow by Blow by Jeff Beck, which is everything by Jeff Beck is really cool. And then I bought Breezing by George Benson, and I was off to the races after that. So that was a really major thing, and that people would say, you know, and that's the thing. Being a jazz musician is about being exposed to it and hearing what it is. But like so like the great thing about Breezing was that I could figure that thing out. You know, I had learned some major scales. I was like playing pentatonic. You know, that's what I was into. You know what I'm saying? Which is great stuff. And I heard like Breezing, and I don't even think I knew the chords of that thing until I was 20. You know, they're just like, you know, and so like, but I could move that scale on the guitar. If I get it right, you know, and I could, you know, he had these licks on there that I could like understand, and I'm like, I'm as good as George Benson almost. You know, that was the thing. To believe that you could play like that was amazing. You know, dream, and your whole life becomes, can I play like Wes Montgomery? Can I learn? You know, can I do this? And you make a little baby step, you know, and then you try to play with people and you wipe out terribly, you know, and then you get a little better, and then you might have a gig, and then you make a mistake on the gig and you get let go, and you know, some other guy can do it better. And so that search to get better from that moment, that passion for music is what sustains me, really. So I'm telling you even more than I told you a minute ago. But like it's a never-ending thing to get better. This instrument, it's difficult, right?
Yes.
And so just to like do anything on it, play the blues, I admire any kind of person, you know, that can play anything on this, because it's a, like I said to my friend the other day, it's a harsh mistress. You know, it's also a beautiful instrument that, you know, when I hear it, I love it, you know, and I have a passion for it, you know, and all things musical now, you know. Cole, does that answer your question?
Yeah, and
my friend.
Let's hear it for Bob the hippie and the $5 lesson, huh, Greno? I don't know why he was charging $5 for a lesson. I have a pretty good idea.
Probably like 76. My mom got really mad when I got the next teacher. Alan Schwartz was his name. He was like $20.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God, that's so much money, you know? And it's like, wow, you should see what people are charging today, man. But that's a lesson in inflation that she learned, and I learned with her. You know, things go up in price, you know. But as I've gotten older, I've studied with more people, and it's like knowledge is worth it, you know. So yeah.
Wow, great stuff, man. Excellent. What about some guitar players that you admire in the jazz realm and outside? Because you had mentioned Hendrix. And I remember seeing a Jimi Hendrix poster on your wall. I was probably like 8 or 9. Didn't know who it was, but now looking back, I remember what the poster was. But yeah, and then also just to piggyback on that, I'm sure Vinny wants to know too, on the composition level, some of the, you know, maybe composers, not that you try and emulate, obviously in the jazz world, I mean, there's giants, but maybe some that you admire and some, you know, that you take some techniques from as far as some of your composition.
So like, it's like hard, you know, every style of music, there's really, really good people. So like, you know, like I love people like B.B. King, you know, I love like, you know, Pat Metheny was huge because he was one of the first people I got to see live.
Right.
I was able to see Mike Stern when I was like, 15 on the first tour he did with Miles, and that guy was great because, I was like playing in one position and I saw him go up the entire guitar, and that was mesmerizing. I mean, you can get out of that pentatonic thing and do a whole thing. So, each little person I would hear, Wes Montgomery, in South, I liked Tony Rice, and in DC there was the guy Danny Gatton, who I took some lessons with when I was in, the first year of college, and he walked and he like he said when I first met him, he said, "You do not want to be a musician. I won't give you my number if you want to be a musician." And we played an A blues, and he walked the blues. He was like, and I heard that, and I heard his time feel, and I was like, bang, that I'm getting out of science, man. So in DC, we would go see him every Thursday night at a place called Gallagher's Pub. And I took a couple lessons, but I would never go back until I could do the thing. He taught you how to do chicken picking country stuff, And so I was like a young guy, and I would go back when I really felt that it was necessary to go back. But so he, at a young age, to see somebody, I don't know if people know who Danny Gatton is, but he was called the most, the best unknown guitar player in the world. And unfortunately, he had, some problems and took his life when I was about 1994. But, DC had my guitar teacher, Paul Hollenbeck, who's really famous. And I would call him an influence, a wonderful influence, and his teacher, Asher Zlotnick. So I got to study with him. And I would say, in terms of influences, I met Mike Stern at a jazz festival in Sugarloaf, and I started to study with his teacher, Charlie Banakis, and now I study with his longest-term student, Gary Dial. And I would say a lot of my input to composition comes from studying those kind of jazz gurus and studying under Asher Zlotnick, which is what's called the Schillinger method of musical composition, is important to my thinking about music. People that studied under the Schillinger system was Gershwin was a major student, and Glenn Miller was a major student. So he was the impetus for the beginning of the Berklee School of Music. That's the one in Boston. That was originally called the Schillinger House. So a lot of my ideas about composition, but I love classical, Glenn Gould playing the Goldberg variation. Being a classical musician, Shostakovich 5 and 8, Beethoven 5, 8, all that stuff. It's just like I love all forms of music. And, in my writing, because the computer, I'm writing all different size groups, but when you're getting your stuff played, it's practical, what you can get recorded and played by people, in terms of the financial aspect and just being with the people. So, right. Getting to know the people, but you only, when you hear famous people's writing, you're hearing a very small percentage of what they think about, on a record, seriously, so that's where it's at there. Cole?
Great point. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Are you kidding? Vinny, we're smooth like butter on the Sunday Spin today.
Absolutely. And I love what Skip brought up. Because going in, again, not knowing anything about the jazz world being so foreign to me, I'm identifying more and more with the human side of it just from talking to Skip. The trials, the learning from the masters, if you will, the elder statesmen of the genre, the lessons, the misfortunes of gigs, all of it. Yeah, we can identify, and it's not that different a world. One thing I do want to ask you, Skip, is what do you think about our local jazz scene? Because for a time in the 80s, especially, I'm sure G can back me up on this, there was a huge jazz district in San Diego.
Right.
With COVID, everything else is dead. I would really like to hear about what you think the future is going to hold in your city, which I understand is the Washington area.
Yeah, Baltimore. I live now in Baltimore, we would gig. I would say it was the Baltimore, Washington area that I've worked in.
Okay, it's a great example because they're very similar cities in where they sit as far as in proximity to the equator, the latitude, I guess you would call that, right? Poway High. But
Yeah.
Also, San Diego does have a history of jazz. Beautiful city, bayfronts, the whole bit. I see it coming back, and I see it coming back in a big way. I'd love your opinion on the East Coast versus the West.
So, like, when I'm coming up, guys are still people that I played with, that were the older guys. They worked, 5 and 7 days a week around town. They had what are called steadies.
Sure.
And so, like, I have had periods of time where I have done steadies, but not like these guys. And I think I played with a guy named Bob Fields, and he played a steady for, years and years and years downtown. And so, like, he regaled me about, like, what that was like and why he left that steady, And we have not had that type of thing, but we have had a kind of circuit that you do. So it's never has been like, what it was when what I think it was, what I thought is, growing up. But there is a circuit, and COVID has kicked it in the butt, And so, we've gone to the live stream thing, and I don't think that hybrid thing is going away because we're tuning in all around the world to that. And I sort of did that because you got to play out to, like, the world, and you got to have your game on, and that's what I told the guys in the band on our last hit. It's like, because we don't know who's watching out there, which is very cool. So
I like that.
You brought something up, Skip, which I really want to commend you for is, just like in the music business, just like in any form, there's people out there who are trying to cash in on the new market. No question about it. There's good, there's bad, there's everything in between. So absolutely.
Jazz geezer too. And even I can see that times are a-changing. But, there's nothing like being in front of an audience. So I think it will come back. And I listened to your show last week, and you spoke of a renaissance.
Yep.
And I think it may not be the kind of music I'm playing, may not be in a little bar sometimes.
That's right.
We have to come up with other ways of programming. But I think that has been the trend in jazz. From I occasionally get, and there's reports on this, that you have to program in a different way. You have to think outside the box. People who I'm talking about, you have to find a way. And if you believe, I believe in the music that I'm playing now. And I believe that, like, it's going to make me grow, and that there may be an audience out there when you have, like a song hit the radio in Kansas City and the guy plays it, and you can tune in on the stream, and the guy goes, "Man, that was a really great composition by that guy."
Yeah.
You feel like you're Sally Fields at the Oscar. They love me. I'm in Command Central playing. There's actually people that might dig what we're doing, So
the opportunities are endless.
Yeah, the opportunities, and it's like, it's hard to, when you've been to music school and you've struggled, and you're never gonna make it, kid. You have to say, hey, you get to a point in your life where it's like, I'm okay. It's gonna be all okay. Let me just make myself happy and do the things that I think are gonna reach people because they reach me. And we got a lot of reviews that were wonderful in this last hit, this last thing, this debut CD. But we got a couple of ones that were ones that, like, kind of bugged me, because you can't reach you want to reach everybody and have them dig you. But like, I've realized, man, it's like you got your thing out there. You got people to hear what your thing was. Some people are going to like it and some people aren't, but it's better than sitting at home, going, I dream of doing an album, because it's right. I'm like a tortoise, It's like, is this, I was like, is this the way I want to, like, spend my resources, I really need a roof on the house, Is this the really, and I said, it's the only way to move forward to be a better musician and get better teaching and get better, maybe I'll make $80 a gig instead of 75. Won't that be great? And very fortunate that we did really well. I don't know what it all means. We made 31 on the Jazz Week chart, but we had a lot of help by our advanced team. We had a guy named Jack Frisch that did the album cover, and I met him in the studio for the first time, and he just knew what was happening in that session and just blended with the band and got to know the band. And then when we were looking for the guy to do the press, he recommended someone, and he told us, this guy's going to be cool, and that guy recommended us. Every level, they auditioned the band, they checked out the music, they dug the music, and so we had a product that was cool, which I'm not into products. I'm into going on the gig and playing balls on fire like it's the last gig I'm ever going to play, So I got to tell people, if you look at what happened with us, there's people that have become our friends like Jack that have helped us, know what to do and directed us to the people that would hear our music and help us, because there is the jazz industrial complex. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like there's a way of doing what it is. And I'm learning like a little kid, and it's just another part of music to learn about. So, we did have help, whether that was people teaching us or people giving us the right advice or whatever. But you got to have your chops in place. You got to love the music and have the thing in place. So if you can ask me about any other thing, but I'm trying to be really open about what's going on with me, So cool.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. Jack is actually enjoying this show right now, Skip. And he has commented, he said earlier, the Sunday Spin rocks. Jack, we love you.
Thanks,
and also
Jack.
he just chimed in and said that Skip's enthusiasm and passion for music, guitar, and jazz is never-ending big bang. His vibe is infectious and youthful 24/7. And Skip, we've seen nothing but that on the Spin today.
And if I could add, from my vantage point, I really want to thank Jack, because he used the two words enthusiasm and passion. You need both if you're going to play music, in my opinion. And you can't do it half-assed. You can't do one without the other. You got to have both, and they have to be the right mixture for you as an entertainer, as an artist. So yeah, Jack, I think you hit the nail on the head, because he exudes enthusiasm and passion. So I do want to ask you this question, Skip, because it always leads me when I see somebody that has that enthusiasm, that passion, that belief. What are your thoughts on passing it on the next generation?
Well, like I said, every teacher I took from, changed my world, And when you're in music school, you're trained to be a thoroughbred. And I had to make the decision that, now I've taught at a college before, but my job as passing it on is to basically give that passion, because you never know where, I'm sure, my teachers didn't think I was going to go on one day more, they'd probably be shocked. And so I think with that I can always it's giving them a love for all music without judgment. If they want to rock the Sex Pistols, or they want to play In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, or they want to play some new thing, or they want to write music, man, that's what sustains you and gets you to the next level. And so that's what I in my teaching. And you never know, as a jazz musician, people don't see what we do. And sometimes we get a little youngster in the audience, and it's like you can see their eyes just light up, And I always try to, because I never, I'm not one of these cats that are, stand on principle. I just try to make connection and talk to that child and get down to them, because that is the next generation. That's really important. And as a clinician, in dealing with people that are coming to the clinic to learn, they bring their families, so it's I don't think Miles Davis, for example, was as mean as everybody says, but it was the mystique. I don't want any mystique about me more than there's your doctor that works on your kid that, is a normal doctor. I'm not Ben Carson. I'm a guy that loves music and plays guitar. I want you to talk to me at a gig. Even if you've had a few, I'll work around that one. You know,
yeah, we've been there. Yeah, we understand those things. Sure.
But like when you meet the greats, though, what's funny, like I've met Mike Stern and Pat Martino and a lot of my idols, and I am like a fanboy. I am like a terrible, hey, Mike, if you're listening, I'm a fanboy and I'm going to keep being like that. But he is the nicest guy. He is the warmest guy. It's like, man, it makes you like, let me buy that next album and the next 10. You know, they're people, and when they come out like people, I want to be like my idol Mike and be a person to people that brings them into the music, because a lot of musicians, they're not welcoming, even if it's 4 people in the audience, that's a victory to me. That's 4 people. When you got a record-buying public, when I was younger, it was 6% listen to jazz. Well, we're probably down to 3%, of the record-buying public. You're an ambassador for this music that you totally dig. And you're an ambassador to get these people learning the scales and the things. And, if nothing else, they might be a doctor that knows a lot of scales, So
I love the word ambassador, though. Boy, I mean, nail on the head, G. How many times do we use that A word to describe the people who are passing it on? The evangelist, if you will, the musical evangelist.
And Skip, you already inspiring family. Brian Smith, who's our cousin from the Lipscomb side, says, agree, makes me want to pick up playing. And then we also we're getting a lot of interaction. We're really excited. We don't get a lot of this on the show. And then Joe also says hi, you all. So hello to Joe.
They're all family plants, I think.
We're just happy to have everyone just tuning in to Sunday Spin. What a treat, man. And Skip, man, it's so great catching up with you. There's no way we're going to be able to have you on just once, my cousin. There's no way.
Fun, I was worried about this.
You're too good of a guest. So
yeah. So like one of the things is like you would ask me maybe to play some.
Yes.
Now,
absolutely.
So I'm getting like super enthusiastic. But before I was very tentative, so my wife was like rehearsing me downstairs and like, no, don't do that. My mom, when I play solo, she's like, I don't get misty in what you're doing. It doesn't sound like Julie Christie or whatever. So my wife is like, make it so my wife is like, make it so your mom can understand what you're doing.
That's great.
But she's gotten hip as she's gotten older. I got to tell you.
I know.
Right on.
She's telling me about the San Diego jazz scene, by the way, and like the radio stations.
Yeah.
And she's like, when are you coming out to do a gig at the San Diego Jazz Festival, Mom? Yeah, maybe I'll come. Keep up the work. She probably booked me. She's so excited.
We gotta put you in a car because you're like me. You don't fly. So
I had a bad flight from Dallas one night. And it was like I was like terrified, but like the way my career is going, I may have to have a seance done on me. Is what I told my wife.
There you go.
But road trips though.
We got to shout out to family too. I mean, I know we do shout outs here in a minute, but I think most of our family's watching. So shout out to my 3 cousins, the L's, Linda, Laura, Lisa, and then of course Skip, but he's also Lewis. Don't tell anyone. And then, my Aunt Diane, my Uncle John, my mom, my dad, my stepdad Eddie, my sister Jen. Oh, Lanny, look, Lanny just chimed in. This is so much fun. Lanny was on last week. So Skip, yeah, man, we're just full of love here on the Sunday Spin. You're just bringing all the good vibes.
So I was going to play, like a big thing for jazz musicians is to play the standard repertoire, And a big thing for me in terms of growing is to write my own music. So in Command Central, I have this little kind of bluesy, simple thing that I have entitled 3 Simple Truths. And it's kind of like a gossipy kind of Sunday vibe, and I'm going to play a couple choruses, chord melody on that and see how that goes, okay? So, yeah, as opposed to the shadow of your smile, Mom.
Ladies and gentlemen, the musical stylings of Mr. Skip Grasso, a man that I gladly and proudly call my cousin. Wow.
So that thing I place, I'm wanting to place that at the end of an album.
Dude, totally.
And I'm like, when I write something, I'm hearing like maybe some crazy musician like Mike Stern going ballistic on that thing. You know, because he could tear that a new, you know. But like, so when I'm writing, I imagine all sorts of situations. So I hear that with like organ. So you're getting a vibe early on is what I wanted about, you know, I have other things for other, you know, group sizes and whatever. But I figured that one would sound super duper good just by myself. But like, you know, like when I'm playing it at home today, I can get much more going. But just having an audience, man, that's the thing. You got to, in terms of music, you guys know, until you get out in front of people, that thing never gets better the way that it needs to. You know, I can play with my wife 100 days, but it is not the same when you play a ballad that you've written and you hear somebody gasp at the end of it, right at the last tone. You go, wow, that is cool, you know? And my wife will just naturally do that anyways, you know, because she loves me. But like, you know, I wanted to play something that maybe someday you'll go like he played that on our show, you know. But it might take me 20 years to get there, but you know we'll be all around. You know?
Dude, no, you've already made history here on the Sunday Spin, and Skip, I just want to commend you on this fantastic CD. I mean, it's dude, like the first song alone, "Jagged Spaces," which is a composition by Skip, my cousin, encompasses everything that's great about this band. I mean, the soloing in this tune, the composition of the tune is wonderful. The soloing by everybody in the band is fantastic. The way you guys the song is perfect. And that's just the first track, you know, and it's just amazing musicianship all throughout. Again, I'm just in awe of your bandmates. Phil, we got Greg on piano, Benny blowing the saxes. I mean, and then what is Nuke on drums?
Yes, it's Nuke Vega on drums, Benny Russell on horns, Greg Small on piano, and my partner in crime, Phil Ravita, and me on guitar. Phil plays electric and upright bass. So
we've got your website, Skip. We've got your website at the bottom. I want to encourage people to to check it out. You can check out the CD. You can listen to music.
And I appreciate Glenn, because of COVID, we would be gigging and we got boxes and boxes of, product, as it were. And you can go to your, different things, or go directly to our website, and, we'd be happy, to mail you a CD, since we can't hand it to you in person. But we do look forward to the day where, people can come and visit us and get them directly. Of course, that would be really cool too.
It's a great CD, Skip. You guys should be super proud.
We're all very proud, I think.
Dude, and just cousin, honestly, to see you putting out original music, man, it's amazing. You've always been an inspiration to me, and it's just great to see the work that you're doing and that you're continuing on your path with music. I mean, and who couldn't be more proud than Virginia Lipscomb, our grandmother? Both of her grandsons ended up playing music. You on a more professional route, but for me, it's a passion that, again, every day I'm writing, I'm playing. I got my drums right behind, but I try and do a little bit of everything. So you've been an inspiration to me, Skip, and the stuff that Vinny and I do. So thank you, man. It's so great. We really appreciate your time.
And keep the passion up, because it's so refreshing. One of the things I say this damn near every week now, but it really is true. I'm so blessed to meet artists, and across the board, they've all had passion. And I really want to thank you, Skip, because your enthusiasm shines through, and it's easy to see that it runs in the family. So thank you on behalf of your, Batman to Robin here. Thanks for what you did to help my boy G get where he is too, man, because let's face it, you were an influence, right?
Wonderful. You guys have been nice to say the things you've said, Glenn. It's hard not seeing each other for so long that you would say all those. I'm blown away, because we're we don't talk, but that I've had impact on you that's positive makes me feel really cool. And, thanks.
You've been mentioned many times, Skip. Yeah. Trust me. Yeah.
Because sometimes people don't tell you anything, but that you would reach out and say that in such a public way is really moving to me,
I appreciate that. I remember, I just want to say one quick. First, Louise, your wife, has chimed in and said, fabulous show. Louise, thank you so much. We love you. I just want to tell a quick story, Skip. When I visited you when I was 12, it was like the rock and roll thing, just getting into that. Then when I visited again when I was 18 or 19, I had delved into the K-Sun Jazz Vault with my friends and stuff. I knew a lot more about jazz and classical. So the conversations that we had, I think for both of us, were kind of eye-opening that next time that we had talked, because I wanted to understand that music more. I wanted to, even though I never really had a desire to, again, it's a lifelong commitment, as we've talked about, both the jazz and classical, disciplines. But with rock and roll, man, there's a deep appreciation in my heart for jazz, for class. Miles Davis is one of my idols, just in music, how I look at music. So, man, thanks for that. And it was just great to have those interactions. I can't wait till we're all together. We can sit down. You're with your guitar. I got the drums right there. And then Vinny, pick up the bass. We can have a jam session next time, cousin.
Oh, yeah. Did you see me playing those fancy bass chords like Skip does, right?
Absolutely. We'll all meet in the middle, man. That's the great thing about music. We'll find something that we can all play and enjoy.
Absolutely, we will. That's what it's all about, man. I would like nothing more.
We could jam something like Bitch's Groove on one chord, man. That, what do you got to do more than that?
Exactly, Skip. Exactly.
That's the great thing about music, is the teamwork and the conversational connection. That's why, I love playing solo, but I grew up playing sports, and a band's like a team sports team to me.
Yeah. And just all the time, Skip. Amen.
Yeah, that's the Sunday Spin standard right there. Teamwork makes the dream work, baby.
So just playing with anybody can be liberating, you know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty. You can play with anybody and not even speak the same language eventually. It's a universal language, But it's cool to know, like, you were into Miles. I would never know that. So I can say Bitches Brew as an album. And you're like, oh, yes. And then you say, oh, do you like the Talking Heads? And I'm like, yeah, I did. I was in high school during that. How old were you? You know, sharing about music and your collection of music and, you know, what all things musical, man. That's what I like to do, you know?
Yep. Skip, I got to see Miles. Oh, no, the Miles Prodigies. I got to see Herbie and Chick do the two pianos thing here up in Denver before Chick passed. So that's how deeply into I am to it, man. I love that music, man.
So it's a chain of like interactions that my first girlfriend in junior high school brought me the Illustrated History of Rock and Roll. And I studied that dang thing like it was a Bible, because you would be like, yeah, Buffalo Springfield, what's going on? That was like Crosby, Stills, Nash Young. And then when I'm riding in the girlfriend's car and I say, this is the coolest tune, she was obviously like conservative. She's like, this is, protest music. I can't have this on in my car, like basically, but I would dig, it was like everything up until Devo, and like, just like the history of all things music, man, like us talking. And when you mention who you're into, I'm like, oh, and if I don't know it, I'm going to get off here. And now I got iTunes for the first, and I'll be like on iTunes if you send this, scoping it out, and I'm like, do you want to talk about your iTunes list you sent me? All things music, it's a universal thing to like talk about,
Yeah. Delve into your record collection, yours and Louise's collection next time. Astounding collection of vinyl that you guys have. We'd love to have you both on. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
She worked when we were first married as a record buyer for a place in town. And the owners where we have our next gig on May 2nd at Andi Music. It used to be a record store, totally. And now it's a place where everybody plays around here. And
the evolution of the Sunday Spin in a nutshell, isn't it, G?
Oh, so, man, this is one of the best shows we've ever had. And they're all so damn good. So take that to heart, cousin. This show is, man, we can't wait to have you back on. I mean, we got to get into some of these deep cuts on this album, man. This Jagged Spaces. You got 4 really heavy compositions on there, cousin.
Yeah.
I've been listening, man. Thank you to my aunt for hooking me up with the CD. Since you didn't, Skip. No, just kidding. I'm just playing. But yeah, man, it's for real. Like we got a lot to cover, man, with you. So we need you back, my cuz.
Okay. Cool.
Any shout outs before we go? Either of you, both of you?
Well, I just want to thank you guys for like talking about music with me, and it's been like a pleasure to see Greno, Glenn, and give your mom and your dad and your families all my love and in this tough time that we can reach out and talk about music over this long distance. I've been playing on a program called Jam Kazam, just the unifying nature of what you guys are doing, that we can talk about our families and our backgrounds and our musical loves over such a long distance in a tough couple, years here, year or whatever it's been, is super duper cool. Do you know what I'm saying?
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. And just to end it on a sweet note, Jack chimed in again. Jack, we love you. The 3G should play live on episode 8. Wow. We just love this interaction. It's fantastic. Skip, you brought the most interaction that we've ever had on the show, man. It's been really, really cool. So
you're not telling me that, are you?
Thanks to everyone, man. We got cousins and my mom and Lanny from last week and Joe. And speaking of the Sunday Spin next week, very special show. Skip, I hope you can tune in, man. If not, we're always on, you guys, we're always on YouTube, Stables Media channel, and Technicolor Dreams.
Yes, tell your friends.
Yep. We're also sponsored, of course, by Grooves Records in San Francisco, What's Left Records here in Colorado Springs, always powered by the Stables Media. Special shout out to the Russo family. This show is dedicated to the memory of Neil Kavanagh, a friend that we lost a week ago. Neil, we love you so much, man. We were just doing a podcast with Neil about a month ago. So he's a classmate of ours, and yeah, we want to dedicate it to that, and also to the memory of Virginia Lipscomb. I mean, the figurehead of this family, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, like my stepbrother Stuart called her the Queen.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and just shout out to Stuart and oh man, just the whole family, everybody. Thank you guys so much for making such a wonderful show. Skip, you want to strum off into the sunset for us?
Maybe I'll play this. This is called The Theme from Miles. Miles' theme.
It's like the Joe Franklin show, Skip.
I had to get the last note in, cousin. Wow, what a show. Sunday Spin, you guys, we love you so much. We'll be back next week with the video premiere of The Endless Summer by the Skinny Mulligans. That's Vinny and myself. Joe Bruno is going to be on the show, drummer for The False Report, and a great person, just a community guy. So you guys be back next, same bat time, same bat place, right, Vinny? Next Sunday?
Yeah. Hope you guys like the video next week. Have a safe week. Peace out.
We love you guys. We'll see you next week. Again, cousin, it's been a pleasure, man. Rock on, everybody. We're going to end this broadcast right now. Everybody have a great week. Go Padres.